Good morning and welcome to Zen Fits. Here in Blackstone, Virginia, the center of the world. I have my mic on this morning. Thank you. Title of this talk is Go Straight On. Oh, it's a good one too. I want to tie the dots, tying the dots. You know, when you, as a kid, you get a little, or adult, you get little puzzles, where you connect the dots and you get the picture. All these dots, and you connect them up. Oh, it's a duck. Well, this is what I do. I connect dots. But the dots I connect when I was studying literature, one of my favorite poets was John Donne, because he had these conceits. Now, a conceit is not... A conceit is in literature or poetry is when you connect dots that others don't, unexpected dots. Oh, he connected this with that and got this, you see. So in this talk, I'm going to connect the apocalypse now, Zen, a meandering river. How is a meandering river and Zen and apocalypse now the same picture? You see? So let's look. All right. If I can do this in one little talk here. Apocalypse Now was a movie that came from the book by Joseph Conrad called The Heart of Darkness. Now, the heart in both book and movie, they had an insane Colonel Kurtz who was at the headwaters of the great river. And the hero had to go up there. In other words, look at it like this. Suppose you were in the floodplain of a great river, and you depended upon the flow of the river to regulate like the Nile, to regulate your crops and feed and nourish the society. And suddenly it began to dry up. Something was blocking the headwaters of the river. So you send a hero to the headwaters to find out what's blocking the nourishing water. Why did it stop up? Some beaver put a dam in there? What's the dam? So you send so in both books, that was kind of like the theme of it. The hero, savior, was sent to the headwaters to release the flow. It's kind of like me with enlarged prostate. The flow stops up. So, take Flomax. Anyway, so what's the Flomax that releases the flow of water into your life? Okay, so in the Western world, we'll find a pill. But in the mythological, in the metaphorical, in the Buddhist world, we find a way to release. Now, what is the way to release the flow? So that's the point here. So in Apocalypse Now, you have Marlon Brando up there is this insane colonel, and the situation is madness up there. If you remember the movie, it was insane. Not only was the war insane, but Colonel Kurtz was even more insane than the war. In other words, now let's switch here and look at a river. Okay, we're going to look at a river. Because a river meanders to the sea like a snake, like a sidewinder, right? Like a wave, a flow, right? And if you notice in the river plains, with the great rivers, the river will loop back on itself. In other words, the meanders get wider and wider and wider, right? And on my Facebook, I have a picture of this, but at some point, like the it gets wider and wider, and then it will loop back. And now you've got a little lake created, a Dead Sea. It's cut off from the river. The river goes on. But the thing, now this little side loop here, this little tape loop, is catch-22. It's a world or a situation in your life where you're stuck in a situation and can't get out. Wow, 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 wow. That's a tape loop. And we get stuck in the tape loop because we got to get back to the river. We got to go straight. But we can't because everything we do creates this loop. And the reason we create a loop in our life, a catch-22, a situation where I can't get out, is because we use our strength to go straight, but it is our strength that is creating the loop. Now, what is our strength? What's the strength of the Western world? What is the strength of America? What is the strength of the Enlightenment versus the strength of the Middle Ages? The strength of the Middle Ages was faith. Strength of the Enlightenment, or the age of reason, or the age of science, is the discriminating mind. The discriminating mind can choose through analysis, through its intellect, through scientific method, through reductionism. We can choose the straight way to go by weighing the pros and cons. I'm going to go, which way should I go, right or left? Well, let's weigh them. What's the con? What's the pros? What's the cons? Does the pros weigh more than the cons? Well, then you choose right. You go straight right. No problem. And this works pretty much until we reach a situation in the meandering river where the meander of going left or right, you see, the river goes down to the sea by going, well, I'll go right. No, let's go left. No, let's go right. Let's go left. Let's go right, you see. So the river is meandering history, and it points in the meandering, in time, in your history, you're going to reach these points where you get a tape loop. And that becomes a whirlpool. We keep going round and round, faster and faster and faster, trying to get back onto the river of time. But we can't because we're using the wrong mind. We're using the discriminating mind, which is our strength here in the modern world, the scientific world, the ability to choose to get out of a tape loop created by the discriminating mind. So get back to the theme here of, so we send a hero to the headwaters to find out what's blocking or creating the tape loop. Okay, so if you remember now in the movie with Apocalypse Now, of course the apocalypse means the end now, not tomorrow, not in the future, not when you die and go to heaven, not in one moment from now, but now. Apocalypse is now. The tape loop is now, you see. The whirlpool is now. You are stuck now. You're going in circles now. How do you get out? Now. You can't get out tomorrow. You can't get out next week. You can't get out in the future. You have to get out now. How do I get out now? See the problem? I'm stuck now because I'm using the wrong mind. The mind that created the tape loop, the mind that created the whirlpool, the mind that blocked the river. I'm using that to get out of the dam. I'm using the beaver to get out of the beaver dam. The beaver dam made the thing. The beaver dam made the dam. So I'm using the beaver to get out. You see the problem? So everything I do to get out of the beaver dam creates the beaver dam. Everything I do with the discriminating, choosing mind, the moral mind, the scientific mind and the moral mind is about the same mind. Both of them work in choosing either or. Except with the science, the discriminating mind, you choose either or. It's not good or bad. It's just this or that. But then you flip it to the moral mind, which is the same way of operating, and now your choices are good or evil. You see? But it's still this or that, except now there's a moral dimension added to it, and now the whirlpool gets even bigger. Now it can destroy the world, create a civil war, create a world war, a religious war. All wars are religious, it is said, you see. Anyway, do you see? You're getting a sense for just using the simple metaphor of the river that meanders its way. It's choosing right and left and right and left. And finally, eventually you get a tape loop. The river then straightens out, but we're stuck in the tape loop. We're stuck in the whirlpool. So we send a hero to find a way out. And who's the hero? You. You have to find out why you're stuck. You have to find see, this is a problem. You can't find why you're stuck with your choosing mind. Because choosing mind, discriminating mind, has created the stuckness. You need a different mind. And this is where Zen comes in and all the non-dual philosophies. What is the... so let's go back to the apocalypse. Maybe there's a key there. As I recall, this is my interpretation of it, so don't go. So if you won't find this on Google, so if you remember, I think I watched the movie twice. But the hero freed the river caused by Colonel Kurtz, by killing Colonel Kurtz. But as you recall, and I posted this famous, suddenly the Sheen, our hero, rises up out of the river as a painted savage. In other words, he's got war paint on. And then there's a rather, horrific scene where he's killing Colonel Kurtz as if he wanted it. It was almost as if Kurtz said he was stuck in the horror. And a lot of the images, the photography of Brando was like a Rembrandt. Shadows, like the moon was stuck in its shadows. Half light, half darkness, ambiguity. He was stuck in ambiguity. The whole place up there at the headwaters of the river was ambiguous. Everything was, yes, it was a dream world. It was a dream world where yes is no and no is yes. And Alice in Wonderland, it was crazy up there. But the world he left was crazy too. Except in the world down with the war, of course the war was about a madness that people thought was sanity. A madness that was sanity. A sanity that was madness. So our hero, Sheen, goes to the headwaters to free the world from catch-22. From the madness that is sanity, the sanity that is mad. That's a tape loop. History was in a tape loop. America was in a tape loop in the Vietnam. You kept doing the same thing over and over again to get out of the war, which created the war. We keep adding more troops. That was our strength. We're going to bomb the shit out of them. Keep adding more power, which created the tape loop, which created the whirlpool, the great sucking sound of Vietnam that just sucked Americans into it. Sucking. The maw of Kali, the maw of Kali that just eats and eats life, dripping blood. You see, that was Vietnam. How do you get out? You see, how do you get out? By bombing more, sending in more men. That's our strength. You get out of the whirlpool by your strength. You see, you paddle. But the paddling just creates the whirlpool. This is the catch-22. What you do creates what you want to get out of. Your good action is your bad action. Right is left, left is right. I don't know. This is the sucking sound, you see. We all get caught in that, just in the kitchen. I go to the kitchen, and there's a thermos bottle. My wife said, put the coffee in here, keeps it fresh. It's got a little white ring and a little button. So you want to pour the coffee, you push the button, and you pour the coffee. Now you got to close it. I push the button. I push the button. I push the button. I push the button. My wife says, stop. Push the white rim. Push the white rim. Click. It closes. Catch-22. Yes is no. No is yes. I push the button. It won't stop. I push the button. It won't stop. I push the button. Oh, wow, 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 wow. Well, stop. Our kitchen is full of little catch-22s. I love it. Anyway, so you get the point. You get the idea here. We're connecting the Apocalypse Now, the meandering river, and Zen. Now, how do we get to Zen? Well, Zen will be my wife's finger that pushes the little white rim of the top instead of the button. I'm pushing the button. Boop, 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 boop. Close, damn it, close, damn it, close, damn it, close. Stop. Push that. Boop. Oh, it's so simple. It's so simple. Now, when I pour my coffee, that beaver dam is removed, and I push the little rim, and I'm so happy. The coffee's flowing. I don't get stuck in the push, 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 push. Zen says, what is the way? The monk asked the master, and the master says, everyday mind is the way. Your kitchen is the way. You can find the whirlpools of your life in your kitchen. You can find where the universe is stuck, where history is stuck, in your kitchen, in the simple. In the simple. So basically Zen is the utter simplicity of life. And we make it complex because we got to choose. You got to figure out. You got to weigh. You got to calculate. You got to measure. You got to ask Google. You got to ask the authority. Ask the religion. Ask the priest. Ask Jesus. Ask God. It's complex. But the answer is so, so simple. We can't even see it. Just push the white rim. Click. Oh, that's it. Thanks for dropping in.